Hey, welcome to Integrated Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. This is the third one in just a real short period here. I broke these up so I wouldn't have some long droning one, and I also have these things right in my head, and I have a lot of other things to do here later in the day, so I wanted to get these out quickly. Uh, the first two I put out about the hospital lockdowns and then the emergency declarations, and this is going to be just a few minutes about family, and family is your first team, and also targets of opportunity buying. uh, we talk a lot about how to get families, spouses, kids, interested seriously in preparedness. And for those of us who have studied it and have a certain, background, it's real to us because we have either experienced those things ourselves or that we've read a good deal about them, and people who are students of history understand. But for those who haven't necessarily, these things are abstracts, and it's difficult to become interested in an abstract if you're not personally interested in it yourself. You can't just believe in something that somebody else believes in if it doesn't appeal to you personally. And so that's why it's difficult for people who don't have the background or the interest to really jump on board. And I talked about the frustrations of that in a previous one. However, this latest thing, this coronavirus, it's already served a couple of purposes, and one of those, I think, and also from what I hear from others, is that it has brought people who before were not really understanding the seriousness of potential threats. It have brought them around, and they're seeing it for themselves now, rather than just hearing about it from someone else. My kids, and I've said this before, and I mean. It's not just that I that know it, you all know it too. You can't keep a kid from learning. There's an old saying that the only way you can be sure to keep a kid from learning is to send them to school. But that's, I don't mean that to be a real hard crack on the education system, but they can pound a kid down to where he doesn't want to learn. But kids want to learn. They want to be involved. They want to do something that has meaning to them, and they are imaginative, and they are creative, and they are energetic. And if you can get them on a project or something, they will do it and keep doing it like you never would have thought. Well, this coronavirus situation, as I've explained it to my kids, has really gotten them on board. And I hope that it has yours too. I know it has many, many around, and although most still aren't quite, wrapping their heads around it. But my kids were already interested, as you can imagine. I mean, they're my kids. They hear it all the time. They get a kick out of the fact that they're in my books. They hear people talking about my books all the time, and so it's marginally interesting to them. But they're very sharp anyway about those things that are a part of preparedness, whether they're really interested in them or not. They could crank out the rules of gun safety and the rules of threes by the time they were 6, but it wasn't real. It was just kind of a game. It was something to make Daddy happy. Well, I'll tell you what. As we have seen this develop, and as we have sat around as a family and talked about it a little bit, and I have explained how important their help and input is, they have jumped into this like you can't believe. Uh, it's really gratifying to see, and it's expanding their horizons. These things are lessons for anyone who hasn't thought about it very much, whether that's adults or whether it's kids. And they are seeing things in ways that they have never thought about it before, and it's interesting to them. So I'm fortunate. Hope you all are too. But I think that we are going to see a great benefit from this from the many people who are who are finally taking emergency preparedness seriously. And of course, not only is that important that the younger generations do too, but the way that the families work together, hopefully, is going to strengthen a lot of families as they come together and working together toward a common purpose. And the most important purpose that there can be, other than our relationship with God, is our survival as humans, as people, and as families. Okay. That's the family part. The other part is I have talked before, way back on a couple of my earlier videos, I think, when I talked about how to get started and what to prepare and what to buy. I talk about targets of opportunity. Not only do we prepare in a controlled and a regimented fashion. We go out and get the things that we should, well, I won't get into the complexities. It can get kind of complex, but it doesn't have to. It's kind of simple. But always be on the lookout for targets of opportunities, great deals. Okay, for instance, and I stacked these up here behind me just because I thought it made a great visual. I was walking through the grocery store the other day, and I think it was Kelly. She said that they had some of these steel cut oats on sale, for like 75 cents a can. And I just happened to be I hadn't thought anything about it. I was happened to be in the store a couple of days later, and I noticed the display, and there were still a bunch there. So I bought all of them. And that's them. Let's see if I can that's them right there. And one thing that's driving me nuts, and my number one son said it drove him nuts too, is that there wasn't quite enough to get a can up there on the top. So for those of us who are kind of picky about that, it's just driving us crazy that it wasn't symmetrical. And I got 17. If I'd had 18, I could have made a perfect pyramid, but I got 17. And and people looked at me, of course, as they do when you go through an aisle and you're buying so much stuff. I figured it out so you all wouldn't have to watch me do math on the video. Each one of those has 17 servings, and I'm trying to read this without my Dollar Tree glasses on. And they were 75 cents each, and each of them has 17 servings, and that comes out to 4 7/17 cents per serving. Now, you can't get much better than that, okay? So that's what we got. And also, I would suggest there's something that I don't hear many people talk about, but that I do suggest, because most of our preps are very carbohydrate and fat. Now fats don't store well, but it depends on how you do it. But we don't do enough. We're kind of lacking in the protein. And I just keep these, and I suggest everyone does. See if I can hold this up here, because I'm holding the camera with my other. Okay, get these. Okay, just get a bunch of things of protein powder. You can either mix it in a drink, mix it in milk. Heck, you can mix it in water. It doesn't taste that good, but you're not doing it to taste good. Or you can sprinkle it on your oatmeal, or you can do whatever you want. But get some protein. It stores, quite a while, and it doesn't store forever, but it'll store for a year. And just keep cycling through it, so you've always got protein, because when times are tough, you need some protein. And I think that was $30, and it's got 60 servings in it, so that's 50 cents a serving. And you're going to need the protein. So make sure you're adding protein to your diets. I just realized that instead of looking at the camera, I'm looking at myself. Who wants to watch a guy looking at himself, right? Okay, so that's all I'm saying. This is great for families. We should all get through this. Take care of yourselves. Eat right. Get rest. Take your vitamins. Take the proper safety precautions. But use this opportunity. And we just might. There's a board game that I hate board games. I detest board games. But there's a board game that I found that I love. It's a survival board game. And one of these nights, maybe tonight, I don't know, we're going to sit down and play it as a family, and I'm going to share it with you. And I even think I might let the kids be the ones who are the hosts of that video. We'll see. Sometimes they want to, and sometimes they don't. But this is going to be bringing families together. So that's a blessing. And in our daily prayers, let's keep that in mind. Bless our families, bless this situation, bless the others out there, and use this to bring strength into our families. So you all have a good day. I'll get back probably in the next day or so with another one. But until then, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.